Hypnosis isn't me controlling somebody else's mind. So what's going on? It's kind of a mystery. The truth of the matter is, people in ancient civilizations like Egypt and China noticed all the hypnotic phenomena. They didn't really know what to call it, or the word hypnosis actually goes back to the 19th century. And so I mentioned in my info minute that what I do many times is I'll ask the right question or make the right statement in the context of a conversation, and the person will suddenly change their mind about something. One of my examples is a fella came to see me to stop smoking, and he lets me know that he's in control. He's in control of his smoking. He has each and last every one of them scheduled. By a certain time in his drive to work, he starts a cigarette, so he'll be finished by the time he gets there. He schedules all his cigarettes at work because he doesn't smoke in the work environment, so he has to schedule them all after meals and all of this. And that he's in business for himself. No one tells him what to do. His customers can negotiate with him. The employees certainly can't boss him around. He doesn't take bossing from the children or the wife at home. Turns out he grew up in a military family, and I said, "Oh, I bet your dad pretty much had the kids standing in line at attention, almost saluting." And he goes, "Yeah." Well, he wasn't letting anybody boss him around. So I said, "You do realize that every last example that you gave me of being in control of smoking was an example of cigarettes and smoking controlling you?" Well, he looked at a spot on the floor, got completely still, and was gone for 20 minutes. He went into a spontaneous hypnotic trance. And then he looks up at me. We talk for a few moments. I must have said something else. And he looks back at that same spot on the floor, completely still, for another 25 minutes. And I said, "Are you going to smoke again after that?" He said, "Nope." And it's completely congruent. So what I did was, I asked him the right question. The right question for him was about being controlled, because that was so important in his life. And I imagine what went on during those 45 minutes is he was trying desperately, unconsciously, to find an exception to having been controlled by smoking and cigarettes, and there was none. And smoking was less important to him than being in control. So there's a book, The Structure of Magic. The authors investigated the top therapist in the world at that time, and they found that there were certain kinds of questions that these therapists would ask which would precipitate changes in the thinking of their clients. It might be a little change, so they're incrementally making progress, or it might be the question like, "Did you realize that every example you gave of being in control was an example of how you were being controlled?" And so there's this, it's almost like a magical kind of quality. And yet everybody here knows what it's like to ask the right question, make a statement in a sales situation, boom, the person says, "I'll go for it. I'm done." Okay, that's a little moment of hypnosis. It's the same technology. And the way that I like to describe what I do is with a story. So Frederick, back in medieval Europe, lived in a little town. And there were always wars going on, so all the young men had to train in martial arts, swords and archery and the staff and all of this kind of thing. And Frederick was a klutz. They would never let him touch a real sword. They were afraid he's going to hurt himself or somebody else. And he's getting to the age where he's about ready to get drafted into the military. What's he going to do? Because Frederick was scared he was going to be a disgrace to himself, the family, and the village. Well, he'd heard about wizards, and quick to anger sometimes, but also powerful. And it was rumored that this hermit up on Sawtooth Hill was a wizard. So Frederick screws up his courage. He's all the way up Sawtooth Hill, gets to the guy's door. The door creaks open. The old man looks out and says, "Yes." And the story comes tumbling out. "He's a klutz. He's going to be in a disgrace to himself and killed me, and he couldn't touch a sword." And the old man nods and smiles a little bit and says, "Wait here. Frederick's waiting, and you hear in the background the guy is going through stuff, because the Wizards Guild makes sure that you have to have clutter. It's just part of the deal. So he finds something here. So he comes back, and he says, "Frederick, young man, hold out your hand." And into Frederick's hands he puts a smooth round stone. "Young man, this is a magic stone. With it you will be a great hero. No one will be able to stand before you. You will be a great warrior. And your wounds will be minor and they will heal quickly. Now go." So Frederick goes off to the wars, and sure enough, he becomes a hero. No one can stand before him in battle. And one day, inevitably, the stone in the pouch on his belt is missing after a battle. He lifts the horses up, and there's no stone. What's he going to do? Well, he's got some leave time coming. I mean, he has been getting promotions. He is a hero. So he commandeers a horse, goes all the way back to the home village, but doesn't stop to say hello to anybody. He goes all the way up to Sawtooth Hill. "Old man!" The door creaks open, and the story comes out. "I've lost the stone. Do you have another?" And the old man looks at him and starts to laugh. Frederick does not appreciate the humor of this situation. And the old man looks him in the eye and says, "Young man, there never was any magic in that stone. I found it down by the river. The magic was within you the whole time. Now come in and have a cup of tea and tell me stories of your adventures." That's how hypnosis works. When I'm done with somebody, they have more control over their own mind. They know that they've made the changes. I helped. I asked the right questions. I set the right context. They went into that state where they were gone for a while. And in that state, they made those changes themselves in their own way. My job is to know how to ask the right questions, the right kinds of things to say, so that they can accomplish what they've set out to do. Wesley Anderson, Doctor of Clinical Hypnotherapy.